want to make a quick note of what you are grateful for. What are you grateful for? Of course, I'm sure all of us are grateful for a new year, but specifically, what are you grateful for? And whilst doing that, if you can also make a quick note of what you would like to either contribute or take away from this broadcast, I'm sure that will be very helpful. It will help to keep the agenda very, very defined. So if there's something that you would like to take away, why not? Put it on paper. Let's take notes if we can. Otherwise, the recording will be available to use. So rising and build. So write your agenda and let's go on with the business. What are you grateful for? What would you like to see? Right. Now, all of us, I dare say, have gone through 2016, obviously, and we've had a few, quite a number of events, a number of things that transpired during that year. And I know that in some cases, I can actually compare what we've done in the year to a painter, somebody who is painting on a canvas. And, some canvas might look like this, or better still, some might look like this, something that looks more defined. Sometimes it does happen that we go through life and maybe certain things have not really come out as we intended. So the painting didn't come out as expected. So it looks like the one I have on my left. Of course, it's not intended, but sometimes great intentions don't mean great, they don't transpire or translate into reality. So sometimes it does come out like that. But for some of us, we might say, oh, fantastic, we're able to hit the bull by the horn. I mean, hit the eye of the bull, came out with some great, outputs in 2016. So you might have a better picture like the one I have there. But whatever it was, all of us have a new opportunity now. So we all, I can say, as painters, we are given new canvases. We are given new canvases, and we have a privilege to paint again. We have a privilege to script what the year might look like. So towards the tail end of last year, I think we spent a great deal of time to say, right, put down a plan. What would you like to see? Put something down, something that might guide the course of the year. Of course, we were doing that in advance. None of us had seen 2017 yet at the time, but the future is today's reality. So 2017 is here, and can I dare say that it's time to start executing that? One thing I don't want to do here is to insult anyone's intelligence. Everyone knows that, right? So we all know that. So we all are presented with a blank canvas, and I can also say that we all have great intentions. We want to take the opportunity. We want to paint, and no one has been in tomorrow just yet physically, except maybe through the heights of our minds. But we have great intentions, and we want to paint. So, if a new year gives us an opportunity to start afresh, or to start better, or to correct things on our canvas of life, then I think certain things are very important for us to keep an eye on. So we want to go through some of those just to be of help to ourselves. Sometimes I'm sure there are things that we wanted to do in the past year and we didn't quite manage to do them. It happens to everyone. There are things that I couldn't do, There are things that I did very, very badly. There are things that went to some degree quite well, maybe as intended. Some even came out better, But there are some that didn't quite come out as planned. But whatever it is, we all have a new opportunity. We have uh, a privilege to, as it were, start afresh. So the question will be, what can we do to rise to the occasion and do it as well as we can? How can we translate our great intentions to great actions and great results? Okay, let's look at a few tips. Now, I would say that a new year presents us the opportunity to redefine our priorities. Now, certain things were priority events last year. We spent time, energy, resources to see that they happen. But priorities do change. So I guess it's time to say, what is my priority this year? In what direction do I want to go? Do I desire to go this year? When we hosted Dr. Martin, he made a very important point, which centered around desire, which is it is absolutely right and proper for each one to see that our desires do come to pass. It's scriptural, it's secular, it's everything, and it's sincere. It's scriptural, it's secular, it's sincere. Every human would like to see something happen. As a matter of fact, we all have wishes, and wishes are in abundance. But the thing is, those desires can definitely come to pass given the right conditions, the right decisions, the right actions. So, a new year gives us the opportunity to redefine our priorities. What is important, or what is still important? Certain things were important last year, but they're no longer important. They're no longer important now because we have, sometimes just because of passing moment, we went through it and we thought, no, this is not as important as it seemed. So priorities do change. And so what now is the priority? What must be done? As I was doing this, I came across a statement which I wrote there. I'm not quite sure who made that statement, otherwise I would have probably referenced it. It says, if it is truly important, you will find a way. If not, you will find an excuse. And that happens. When something is truly important, somehow we try to do it by all means. I remember each time I have to go to the airport on a trip, nobody wakes me up. Somehow I wake up myself, or sometimes I use the alarm, but I get up. I seem to get it right nearly maybe 99.9 of the times to get it right, to get up on time, get yourself ready, and get out to the airport. Just because that trip is important. And we've seen that before. Maybe all of us, if not, many of us, if not all, have seen that. Somehow you find yourself getting there early. And I say it's because it was defined as a priority. Sometimes it's an interview. You have an interview to attend. And because it's truly important to us, it's a priority event. Everything stems out of it and directs towards it. So can I say that it's time to revise the things that we considered as being important and check again, are they still important? Are they still truly important? Why? We don't want to invest time and energy on something that doesn't count or doesn't count anymore. So I say it's time to do that and look at it again. If it still is, then let's give it the right push, and start to do it and start to do it. So a new year gives us that opportunity to revise our property and begin to do it. Okay. Now, another thing that we find out about New Year is that it gives us the opportunity to realign our purpose. There are things that we somehow got involved with maybe last year. We were so busy with them. It might even be that somebody took us in that direction. We necessarily don't want to go there, but we were taking that direction and we started to do it. But a new year, because it allows us to start on a new page, we can actually sit back and say, right, whatever I'm doing now, is it still in line with my known purpose? Okay, I'm going to go a bit scripture right now. So when we read that to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose, that does not mean that when time changes, then purpose changes. No. Why? Purpose is permanent. A purpose is not something that changes with the passing of time. Purpose can change if one was working on the wrong purpose initially. But once you actually discover what you're meant to do, you can see better, you can grow in deeper understanding of that purpose. But purpose is permanent. Purpose is permanent. Plans may change, but purpose is something that, as a matter of fact, purpose precedes the individual. Purpose is the reason why the individual comes into the world in the first instance. So purpose is not something that keeps changing and keeps changing all the time with every year. So a purpose is not an annual an annual agenda. It's not an annual plan. It's a life purpose. It's a life plan. It's a life. It's a life. If you like, it's a life course. Something that makes life to come to be in the first instance. So, to that effect, one, I believe we should say, well, with the changing of a new year, with the advent of a new year, I think it's time for me to say, whatever I'm doing, is it still in line with my purpose? I may have to ask, is it something that whatever I'm involved with now, do I really, really love to do it? Is it something that I'm great at, not just good at? I'm sure we are very good at many things. Most of us are good. Well, let me not say most of us. Some of us are very good at cooking. Yeah, some of us are good at many hobbies, but we're not necessarily great at them. I like the way John Maxwell would say it, is to whittle down the things you are good at to find the ones you are truly great at. Dr. Myers would say that purpose is the thing that caused life to be. Okay. As I was preparing as well, I've stumbled on a statement by Pablo Picasso and said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. I think we should look at that word gift in a broader sense. A gift is not just something, like we know gift, especially since most of us receive gift and gave gift during Christmas in this just recent past festive period. I'm not talking about that kind of gift. A gift a purpose rather is a gift that we are giving, and gift in that sense means something that we have been endowed or handed over to us to serve out to the world. So Pablo Picasso, I think, is very right in saying that the meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose of life is to give it away. So we find exactly what we're meant to serve, and we begin to serve it. And because that thing is intrinsic to life, we keep on serving it until we can serve it no more. We keep on serving it until it's finished. So when we're talking about purpose, ultimately there must be an alignment between what your passion is, what your mission is. So turning your passion into a mission, what you now begin to do day by day, so it becomes your vocation. And it becomes the things that you must keep on being great at. So it becomes a profession. So just to recap, you love it, you are great at it. The world, your world needs it. Let's put it this way. Sometimes we want to change the world. And I think that sometimes that's not necessary. What we need to do is to change our immediate environment, and the degree to which we do that qualifies us to do it on a larger scale. So we can actually, by all means, start small, change what you can at first, do what you can, and then a miracle follows. So that's time. The time is right to realign to your purpose. But when we talk about purpose, purpose, as far as I'm concerned, cannot be fulfilled without an envisioning of how that purpose might translate into reality. So, in other words, we're talking about vision. Vision is seeing purpose in pictures. That's what my very dear mentor taught me, Dr. Miles Monroe. Vision is purpose in pictures. So we're seeing how our purpose might be applied in our environment, in the various circumstances that we are faced with. We are envisioning, that's the word again. We are, let me use this word, imagining. We are designing a particular way in which we apply ourselves to solve a problem that we are uniquely gifted to solve, or to contribute a service that we are uniquely gifted or endowed to contribute. So vision is something that we must, I believe, refine, because last year there was a way that was so clear in our minds that we thought we could, contribute our quota. We thought I could do it this way. I can serve this way. But with passing of time, sometimes that vision is kind of altered, and you suddenly find that I'm no longer really passionate about doing it this way. So I say it's time to refine your vision. And there's something that clarity does. Clarity is so very powerful. The clearer you see, the farther you can go. The clearer you see, the better you can actually plan and do most other things. So clarity is so very powerful. And I think it's time for an injection of clarity in our life's mission or purpose. So saying we, I mean, most of us, we must have seen this statement. I was wondering who wrote it until I searched on the internet and found it. Oswald J. Sanders said, eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. I may be wrong. It might be that he just used that statement, but I've heard it said many times. Eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. To see clearer, to see brighter, to see further, we must be changing our disposition and probably our position. Sometimes when you take a step back, you see something totally different than You had seen it before. So I believe it's time to refine our vision. Sometimes you read a book and suddenly ideas flood into your mind as to how what you wanted to do might be done. Sometimes you go on a trip, sometimes you just take a holiday, just a day or two to refresh, and suddenly an idea strikes through the mind and you see it. And this is when this clarity of vision empowers one to act in a way that is different, in a way that is probably more profitable in the course of fulfilling one's purpose. That's why Warren G. Benny said, leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Because the moment you see clearly, and begin to act in the direction of what you see, then a leader is born. So if you're talking about becoming a leader, as we say all the time on this platform, it's not controlling people, it's not bossing people around. No, it's actually committing oneself to fulfilling the vision that you see in your heart that is aligned to your purpose. It's doing that that actually backs the leader. Okay. Now, another thing to say is that sometimes, maybe not even sometimes, we do make mistakes. We do things and they come out, you know, like how we don't want them to. So you remember that picture, that canvas with a lot of colors splotted on the canvas, and everything looks really like a mess. But the thing to say is, however the messes were last year, can I suggest something? It's time to bury the past. Put soil over it, bury it, and turn your back and leave. It's time to bury the past messes, the thing that you're embarrassed by. There are some things that I did last year. I wouldn't even say them here because they are so embarrassing. But guess what? It's my choice not to say them. So as far as I'm concerned, they're buried, and I'm on my way, far away from those. It might be true for you as well, where you're looking to say, look, I don't need to hang around this mistake. Sometimes the effect of mistakes do spill over a season, but we can choose to keep moving away. Now, of course, one thing to say here is that experience will not teach you not to repeat the mistake. I like the way John Maxwell said it. John Maxwell said that experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is actually what teaches you. When you sit back and you evaluate that experience and you see exactly what's gone wrong, what could have been done better, then you are more instructed, you are more informed, you have insight into the matter, and you can say, right, okay, I know what to do now. I know what to change. If I can spot the spot of irritation, then I think I can take my eyes away. If the smoke is getting to my eyes from a direction, I can choose to look in a different direction. So um, it's time to bury the past. Now, I can say it very clearly. It's time to bury the past, whatever it was. And that will automatically indicate something, that we must be re-establishing worthwhile goals. So what things do I need to establish to show me that I'm moving in the right direction? A goal helps us to measure progress. Am I actually progressing? Because progress, or sometimes people call it success, it's not it's not um, it's not imaginary. If it's happening, there must be yardstick to measure them. In the business environment, you would say you want to have metrics that help you to know whether what you're doing is successful, whether the business is successful or not. So I want to know what's the turnover, what's the customer retention, um, what's the you know the profit before tax, after tax, and all that. I want to know whether what we are doing, what we spend every day doing, is actually worth it. So establish what my goals, because without goals, life is haphazard. It's just you know it's just gas. When I was much younger and I did chemistry, one of the things you are taught that matter occurs in three different states. You have the solid, you have liquid, and you have gases. The thing about solid is if you put a solid matter in one place, you're likely to find it there, even if it's starting to sublime. Sometimes if you put an incense on a plate, if you come there the next day, you find it. Maybe after a year, the whole thing might have sublimed away, going from solid to gas. If you put liquid in a place, barring evaporation, you should find it again. But the thing is, if you inject gas in a place, before you know it, it's all gone. Even if it was a smell, so an odor that is not, desirable, with time, just in a little time, it's gone. Now, without goals, life is like gas. It's like a vapor. It just flies away, and there's nothing to, if you like, shoot for it. There's nothing tangible to tie it to. So, goals present that. And if we look at it indeed, every mission that everyone is on is actually a journey towards some goals. Some goals somehow, somewhere. Sometimes if you're traveling, especially if you're going somewhere you have never been before, if you go maybe on Google will tell you if you are going the right direction, you should see this landmark, you should see that landmark. Now, goals are just like that. A goal will help you to say, right, if I can see this building, that tall skyscraper, then it must be that I'm getting towards the destination. So that's what goals do for us. They help us um, to measure the progress of our journey. And life, or like our journeys, only become intentional as we set goals. Dr. Mike said that everyone is setting goals anyway. The drunkard is setting goals to become a drunkard. A goal is not necessarily a goal when it is written down. The moment somebody begins to do something progressively, it becomes a goal. So we need to set goals that help us towards the destination that we wish to arrive at. Okay. Now, of course, if you talk about goals, something else seems to be bubbling right underneath the carpet there, and that is to devise a plan to realize the goal. We define the plan, or to devise a plan to accomplish the goal. Now, of course, between one goal and the other, there's a gap. People in the business world, we talk about, they call it a gap. That is something that, there is there's something to do between where you are and where you want to get to. Now, I like a definition that I picked up from Dr. Myers. A plan is a predetermined strategy for intentional progress towards an end. A predetermined strategy for intentional progress towards an end. The thing about plans is, no matter how we spin it, that's your responsibility and my responsibility. It's my prerogative to devise a plan that can help me to move from one goal to another. And of course, that's going to be, as I see it, it's going to be based on what I know. It's going to be based on the information or the research that's available to me. It's going to be based on the input that I'm able to get in the form of counsel, in the form of advice or coaching. But whatever it is, it's my responsibility to create a predetermined strategy to move me deliberately towards an end. What we're saying sounds so simple, sounds, of course, it also sounds logical, doesn't it? But the thing is, it's not done by everyone. Not everyone does this. But on this platform, in this community, what we are saying is that uh, we have people who are intentional. This is a community of intentional individuals, of leaders, people who have chosen to lead themselves in their gifts to arrive at the thing that they know they are obligated to deliver. So a plan, what it does is that it helps to replenish our times. Now imagine that you want to do something and there's no given plan to do it. The likelihood is that time will be wasted. You probably go in a direction that you shouldn't go. Think about it. If you're trying to find maybe a building and you don't have your map to hand, you don't have your this time or these days GPS to hand, you probably go in one direction and then you turn back. Oh no, no, it must be that way. And then you go again. And somehow you spend a bit more time to arrive there simply because there's no definite plan or guide to get there. So a plan is a guide. A guide is not cast in stone. So a guide, if it's a guide, then to alterations, it can be altered. So plans may change, but purpose is permanent. As a matter of fact, purpose is constant. How you see it may change. So vision gets brightened up the further you go, the more intense you look at it, the more, if you like, the more desire is wrapped around purpose, the brighter you begin to see. So purpose is permanent, but plans may change. In fact, goals may change because if your vision changes, in other words, if you see brighter, if you see better, to in terms of how to accomplish your purpose, then ultimately you're going to adjust your goals and your plans. But that is okay. That is okay. As a matter of fact, if your plans change, don't get frustrated. It's part of the deal. In fact, let me put it this way: no matter how well you draft or devise a plan, it will change because you're going to know better than you know now. You're going to see brighter than you see now. You're going to have more input than you have now. You're going to have experiences better than you have now. So therefore, you would alter your plan. That is okay. Only your destination is permanent. Your purpose is permanent. Purpose is the destination. But having a plan will help to replenish your time. It's that thing that says redeem the time. It will help to redeem, to recover your time. Because rather than doing it in ways that ought not to be done, you can now do it. Maybe you can be more precise in your moves. So it replenishes the time. And I like the way King Solomon, the third king of Israel, said it about 2,000 years ago, thereabout. In fact, a bit more than 2,000 years ago now, about maybe 2,500 years ago, said, in his heart, a man plans his way, but the Lord gives the answer of the tongue, meaning the Lord gives him resources and the like direction as to how to do it. So it's always our responsibility to do that. What again? what we look at. Maybe we should quickly just have a quick, some very 5 things to think about when we talk about planning. When we talk about planning, let's consider the following. Number 1, determine your destiny. In other words, set your course. What is my destination? So that destiny could be an alternative word for destination. Determine your destination. Where do I want to go? What is the goal to accomplish? Identify and establish your goals. Okay, where am I going, right? Then what are the goals that should tell me I'm heading in the right direction? Identify them, establish them. Then prioritize your goals. Because if your goal becomes a priority and you achieve it, invariably you are heading towards your destination. But organization, as far as I'm concerned, is the first law of success. So organize or is the priority law of success. So organize your goals. Organize your goals in progressive order. In other words, let's not put E before B. Let's have B, not F. So organize your goals. And then this takes more work, it's harder. As a matter of fact, we will see something that I'm suggesting that might be of help. Discipline decisions by your goals. Now that in some sense suggests willpower, isn't it? That use your willpower. Sometimes this varies from individual to individual. So one thing I'm going to suggest, and I'm going to say that in a moment. But by and large, what we want to have is to follow a program that makes us concise and disciplined. Now, we're going to probably look at what we might do in terms of suggestions. It's not, discipline is not something that we can't circumvent it. We can't do without it. But I recognize that it's harder. Sometimes for me, I find it hard sometimes to commit to doing something all the time. So I understand. If you feel that way as well, I understand. But what can we do if that happens? I have some suggestions, which is, and the word is accountability. The word is accountability. Now, one thing that I try to do if I'm committing to something, if I know that I must do something and I have to make myself do it, I make myself accountable. There are people who are in my life that whose counsel I value, whose they're more like partners with me on the journey. They are team members, they're my mentors, my coach. I mention it to them and say, look, hold me accountable to this. This is something that I really want to do. And I'm telling you, indirectly, it's to say, look, you can always ask me whether I've done it. So have accountability partners, or maybe a mentor who can help you to say, look, do this. Or are you doing what you said you would do? I have people who perhaps look at me as maybe somebody to submit to, and if they tell me that they are doing something, let's say you're writing a book, I'm going to ask you, how is it going? Is the book is it coming out as you planned? Now, the intention is not to control somebody else's life. No, far from it. What you want to do is to help the person keep it in focus. So you can also have people who help you to keep your objectives, your goals in focus. Are you doing what you said you would do? Are you on course? Okay. Now, I was alluding to something the other time that whilst we're on our journey to, maybe make better plans or even to see brighter in terms of vision, one thing I'm finding is this: that even though it is useful to observe events, observe things, observe people, in the instance where we have models, where you observe so that you can learn, I find that, or I'm finding out that questions do a lot more help or good than just observation. Observation cannot go alone and by itself. Observation must be complemented by questions in order to actually arrive at the intent. The thing is, observation can be deceitful. Observation, my intention can be disguised, but a question will make you go into the heart of the matter. So start with a question. And I say the first person to question is probably yourself, to say, look, to check my intention. Am I actually true to myself? Am I doing what I really should be doing? So start with a question, but don't stay there. You can also actually ask questions of people, that colleagues, people that you work with, and especially mentors. Because sometimes a mentor does something that you don't understand in a moment. And as a matter of fact, if all you're doing is just observing, you may totally um, get it wrong. So I say the best thing to do is to actually ask, say, please, excuse me, why did you do this? Why was it done? A question can help to, it can really help save a lot of problems and clarify issues. So I say, yeah, a question, something that we want to use and utilize very much to advantage in 2017. Ask questions. To me, as far as I'm concerned, the true art of learning starts with writing. Start with asking the right questions. The true art of learning starts with the right question. Maybe that's why the greatest leader ever to walk the planet Earth said, "Ask, and it will be given to you." Ask the questions, and the information, the answer will be given to you. As in fact, I'm convinced that when he was making that expression, he wasn't talking about getting a material or getting something material. It was actually alluding to seeking information, seeking understanding, and seeking wisdom. When you ask, when seeking knowledge is no longer casual interest, then the answer becomes available to you. So seeking guidance cannot be a casual thing, cannot be casual interest. Okay, now I think I must share my screen here to make this something that we can definitely note. Now, as we go on, and as a matter of fact, I know, I can almost guess that there are some of us that you're looking to do something that you have not done before. You're planning to maybe venture into a business that you have not done before, and you're thinking, right, this looks daunting. This looks a bit difficult. You might even be changing career, and it's a path that is unfamiliar. And of course, you are making preparations, you are doing the right things. But can I just maybe say a word of encouragement to you, that you are the right person for the job. If that thing will be done at all, it will be done by you. You are right for your purpose. You can put it over, you can get it done. And why am I so sure? You're not an accidental occurrence. You are pre-planned. As a matter of fact, you are foreknown. You are thought about well in advance of you, which is why purpose precedes you. Purpose precedes you and is the thing that caused you to be. So by that token, I can confidently say that you are pre-planned. You are you are you are a recruit for your job. You are recruited purposefully for your job. And we can put this very much in the heart that in all that we are saying, we are not just relying on what we can do humanly. We, on 10, we recognize something. We depend very much on God on 10. Is it 10 rests on God? So, to that effect, I can say that whatever God demands from you, He supplies. I'm picking this literally from the words from the lips of my mentor. Whatever He demands, He supplies. Whatever God commands or do or ask you to do, we should be rest assured that He also provides for, and whatever He calls for, He assigns. So what what is demanded of you is already in you. It's already in you. And my question is this: is the mane that you see on the lion, was it always in the cub? Was it always in the cub? The roar that you hear from the lion, was it always in the lion cub? Well, I believe so. It's always that terrifying roar has always been in the lion cub. It was only waiting for maturity. So yes, in the course of time, some of this will manifest, they will show, but it's there already. It's there in a seed form. So your purpose has always been in you. Your purpose actually initiated you, so you can do exactly what you have in mind. So your desire, and let's clarify this, the desire that is so pertinent to your heart, that grips your heart, is not something that is just emerging out of the blues. It's something that's always locked up inside of you. It's something that has always been asking for expression. So your desire is right. Your desire is not a figment of imagination. As a matter of fact, your imagination attests to the fact that there is a picture inside of you that you've got to see. And so it comes out in the form of imagination. Don't despise it. Don't overlook it. Don't commit intentional uh, disregard of yourself. It's there. And that's it. So let your imagination instruct you as to what is hidden inside. Let your desire also instruct you to say, I've got something right there on the inside. And that thing is asking for expression. Knowing this, that whatsoever God demands from you, He supplies. Maybe that's why we call Him righteous, which means He's fair. It's right. Okay, so very much we depend on God on 10. And of course, you can continue to depend on Him as you've always done. It was Charles Wesley, or was it John Wesley, in one of his speeches that said, "It seems to me that without God, man cannot. And without man, God will not." And this sometimes, I mean, if it might be something that you've thought about before, why is it that, remember the instance where God said to Moses, He said, "Moses, I have seen the suffering of my people Israel, and I've come down to rescue them. Now you go." Oh, right. You saw it. You want to do it. Why don't you go ahead and do it yourself? No, it's because of that statement that without God, man cannot. And without man, God will not. As far as the earth is concerned and the world we live in is concerned, God walks through the instrumentality of men. He uses men as his regency, to do His affairs, His will on earth. So, of course, that is our starting point. We're starting very much with God to say, where's the journey is far, but we can do it because with God, man will. And with man, no, with God, man can. And with man, God will. It's divine partnership. It's divine partnership. So understand is that because you are following the purpose that is in your heart, that is put there, even without your consent, then know that you and God can put it over. You and God are an unbeatable team. So I guess all we got to do is to commit, therefore, our ways to the Lord, trust also in Him, and He will bring it to pass. So what you have to do now, and I can say that with boldness, is to rise and start to build. The building does not start by putting the brick on the earth. The building actually starts by translating the building you have in your mind to paper. Every building starts by committing the imaginary building from the mind to paper, and then by putting the brick in the earth. So arise and build. Thank you very much. Okay, well, we should stop there. And if there's an idea that comes to your mind, you can definitely ring it out. You can put it on our chat platform, or you can do it on Facebook. So that's going to be a norm for us. I would broadcast on this platform as well as on Facebook. To some that joined us in the middle of the broadcast, let me say Happy New Year to you once again, and wishing you a most successful year. And just know that you are not alone on the journey you are embarking on. There are people also in the same community that you belong to who are doing the same. So be encouraged. You can do it, and we know that you really can. God bless you, and we hope to see you next week. Let's give ourselves a task. Why don't you determine that when next I'm coming, I would come with somebody that I want to also see grow right before my eyes. Okay, if you can do that, then you will be investing in someone. It wouldn't just be a growth that you are embarking on by yourself. It's a growth that you are doing, holding somebody by the hand to grow even as you grow. I trust you will do that, and I thank you in advance for it. Okay, so let's just wrap it up here and to wish everyone once again a happy new year. Of course, a great month, and then of course success on your journey. Thank you very much. God bless you. You can go to our Facebook page and subscribe there. Just join the group if you want to, always join us through Facebook or see ongoing notices. Well, have a blessed evening if you're in the UK, or afternoon elsewhere. God bless you and see you next week.